All right, so we're gonna talk about loops today, and let's review the flowchart for loop first. So the one on the right is the flowchart for the loop. So normally we're going to talk about using while, like while the statement is true, we're going to do inside the loop. This is a loop. A is a task, like we can say welcome, and we can keep saying welcome, right? Or let's talk about application. If we want to talk about the authentication application again, we can actually keep repeating wrong username, wrong username, wrong username while it's not true, right? And then you can just say when it's true, then you just say welcome, right? All right, but I want to make a basic loop first. The statement the loop it's going to do when it's true. Okay, when it's true, it's going to do. Like for example, I want to print hello world 10 times. That's repeating, right? So how would I make the loop for that? How would I write a flowchart and pseudocode for that? Alright, so let's look at that. So first we'll look at pseudocode. So we want to say hello world 10 times. So we need to initialize, which you say init. And we need to count. We need to count like how many times we're printing. First, it's going to be 0. We're not printing any, right? And then we start to initialize again init. The limit. Limit, we said we want to print 10 times. So we give 10 to the limit, right? Now we start to write pseudocode for while count under limit. So now count is 0. Limit is 10. 0 is under 10. 0 is under 10. What we're going to do? We're going to say print hello world. Right, I have to indent that, so it's going to pretty much you indent to tell this is a statement inside the loop. Because after print, it's going to you add 1. If I don't add 1, what happens? It's going to print hello world infinite. Infinite. Because it's always under 0. I mean under 10. 0 is always under 10, right? So that's why you need to increment the count by 1 because we want to print 10 times. So now at this point count is 1. Indenting means it's not exiting the program yet. It has to go back and compare the condition expression. 1 under 10. 1 is under 10. Then this is true. When it's true, it's going to print again hello world. And then count, it was 1. 1 plus 1, now the new count is 2. 2 under 10. So we're printing hello world the 3rd time. And then we increment the count again. Right? 3. Still under 10. Now we're going to do that. We print up to 9. Count is now 9. So it's going to print the last statement, which is hello world 10 times. And then it's increment count to 10. because whenever you print, you do tally, right? We said, hey, tally is pretty much your count here, right? That's 10 now. 10 under 10, is it true? Who said 10 is under 10 is true? 10 is not under 10. It's equal to 10, so it's false. So when the loop is false, that's why it starts to exit to the next line. Whatever statement that comes, it's going to execute and do it. If there's no statement, it's done. So it's print 10 times. That makes sense? That's pseudocode.
So like if you wanted to print hello world like a million times, could you just say like that code and you just loop it, but it doesn't have an end, like there is no condition to how many times it does it?
Yeah.
Whatever. How to crash a computer 101.
All right, so let me show you how to write this in flowchart, right? So I'm going to use this chart to assist on this one. So how would we create a flowchart for the loop? We've seen it already. It has to have the loop, right? So I'm going to use some spaces here. Decision. So we need a decision for the diamond, right? And we need start. Now we need to initialize the values. We call init. We use this hexagon, right? So we initialize count 0 and what else? Limit, right? Limit to 10. So now we gonna make decision. So what should be decision? What made it true or false? Count under is less than, right? Count under 10, which is we already have the limit, right? That's why we use initialize values to help, right? So we gonna say while count is less than the limit, what do? If it's true, we're going to display, we use the parallelogram, right? Hello world, right? So since the parallelogram itself only means display, I don't have to type the display word, right, or print. Is it done? Nope. We need to do increment the count, correct? So we have to do count equals to count plus 1, right? Let me just remove this, then you're not confusing. All right, so this is the symbols that we need. Yes, that means true, right? Let me just get to the beginning. Decision. We just get a new one. With yes. And we just keep processing to the next step when increment the count. And then what else? We're going to loop back to check the condition again. Correct? Now when it's false, that means when it's no, then we exit. Right? When it's greater than, we exit and we do whatever we want, which is we're going to say we're going to print, or we can just go to stop if you don't do anything. So I can just do terminating it and just stop. But if you want to do something, just connecting to that. But now we just stop. And now we're just connecting the flow now. So this is just the right direction, right, of the program. We don't need to connect this, right? Because the loop. That makes sense? So that's how you do a loop. Now, let's look at the Java code. So there are three types of loops in Java. We have while, do while, for. Okay. So in Java, we have while, do, while, and for. That's the syntax. Now, what's the syntax? It's going to be while, and then you check the expressions. And this is a Boolean expression. Now, if you look at this flowchart, you have to initialize first. Then you come to Boolean expression, which is you check for true or false. And then you do increment, right? So those are three things that you need. So same thing, before get to the while, you have to initialize, right? So you have to say like int count, right? Equals to 0, right? Int limit equals to 10. And then your Boolean expression just technically it is the expression to give you true or false, right? Like if count, while count is no longer if, right? While count less than limit, we keep doing the statements inside the loop, which the statement inside the loop is system.print, right? System.out.print. We want to print hello world. And then what's next? We don't want to forget to initialize your count, right? So in Java, you could do count plus plus, which is equal to count equals to count plus 1. So that's pretty much it. But you have to start with public class, right? And public static void main. And now let's look at the syntax for do while. Pretty much the same. You initialize it first. But instead of while, we're going to do, and then we put while do first, and then while. Pretty much it's the same expression here. While count less than 10, or count less than the limit. Now the syntax is you have to end with semicolon right here, but not there. Okay, it's the same thing, but there's something a little bit different. The difference is this one we check the condition first, like count less than limit. It's going to say hello world. But what happens if I say count equals to 10? It will never say hello world because never less than limit. But if I say do, that means you do at least once, right? And then you check the condition, meaning that you're gonna print at least hello world one time, right? And then you check, and then never come back again because it's true. It's false, I mean, right? That's the difference. Can you see that? And that's do while. Now for, it's just the difference on while and do is what you check the expression before in while. Do while you check the expression after the fact that you're done, right? For loop, it's just like similar to while. You check first, but the difference is just the syntax that you put your initialize your count inside the parentheses as well as the expression inside and separate by semicolon, and then lastly is you do increment inside too, and you just combine them, just shorten the code into two statements, for, and then what you want to say, hello world. It's pretty much just shorten it. Now for the limit you need to initialize outside because that's not part of initialize the count, check the count, and then increment the count. So that's pretty much how you write a loop in Java. Any questions?
So for this, the do while, can you give an example of like how it would be used?
Oh yes, that's a good question. When do you want to use do while? It's very simple. When you want to prompt the user to enter username password. Like system.out.print, enter your username, and then you read your username. Like here, you cannot even enter username because you never checked yet, because you keep checking first. How could you check first when the user not providing you the values? Right, this one we just say, hey, enter your username. This is the loop for the username when it is not correct. Let me show you partial code for that. Okay, that's a good question. It's a good example to use do while. Like do, first time I run the program, right? Prompt the user to enter username. Instead of, think about when we do authentication with the previous program, your if else, it's only evaluate once. If username and password are wrong, the robot will just say wrong username and password, and that's it. It never made the robot to go back and say, enter the username again, right? And I keep enter again until we have it correct, right? Then the robot will say welcome. Otherwise, the robot will repeat. So that's why the loop gonna help in this case. So I said enter username. I have to read the username if I use scanner, right? Yeah, I can do print line, yeah. It doesn't matter. Print, you just type username next to the word, enter username. Print line, you just print, enter next line. Username dot equals what? Let's say we use a scanner dot next line, right? Now we read the username. Same thing with the password, right? So we prompt for enter password, and then we read the password in. But of course, username and password has been declared in the beginning as string. Okay, I didn't write that part of code. So now, so we get the username and password. So we're ready to check, right? Do while, and the indentation is important. You want to make sure it's line up, right? Okay, line up to make it easier to read. So how do we check? We already know the expression for that in if else, right? Username is correct. So username, like in Java, we just do dot equals. We don't do two equals. Two equal only for primitive data types. Dot equals for the object of the class. Since string is a class, you do dot equals. Otherwise, your program will not work. Okay. So username dot equals the master username. Okay. Let's call it master username. I like that one. That's the one in the system, right? And right, that's Boolean expression, and password that the user enter equals master password. Think about or. Or means one is true, the rest is true. That means after username is correct, then I can say welcome. But I cannot do in this logic for authentication. I have to show you with different question. Okay. But if you want to use or, it's just to, I mean, I understand your question like that. That's a syntax. But it's not going to work with that. Okay. Now, think about if it's false, it's going to keep prompt the user now instead of if, like once it's done, right? It's going to keep prompt the user to enter username and password until it's true, right? Then it's exit the loop and do whatever you need to do. Make sense? Yeah, with this expression, it's going to be repeating. Before, if you look at the syntax for if that we do, we just say if this is username and password are equals, then you just do, right, welcome, else you just say wrong username. We'll never go back, right? This one will make it to go back, keep entering until it's correct. All right, now let's talk about assignment. So your class exercises for this time, you will have enough time because today is what, Thursday. You have Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No. What do you mean? What? Y'all are gullible as shit, honestly. Why would you trust me? No, yes, we have class on Tuesday.
So you will have a long lead time to look at this. Okay, so I want you to review the if else statements again. What we have learned just basic one if else statement, right? So we could see after the first statement is true, you can check again. This is called nested if else. Same thing like if the username is correct, then if the password is correct. But you could combine with the and, or you can just separate them. This is called nested, right? Like you use it when you want to check more than one. You could do another if else in there, right? Another nested. Another if else is you could use when you have more than two options. If you have two options, then you gotta do just if else, right? If it's true, you do this. If it's false, you do this else, right? But now you're selecting more than two. Like if my score greater than 90, get an A. If my score greater than 80, get a B. If my score greater than 70, get a C. Else if my score greater than 60, I get a D. Else I get an F. See that? More than two options. Now we're going to talk about loops. We just reviewed the loop already. While loops, that's the syntax. For loop, that's the syntax, right? And do while is that's the syntax. You're going to write the applications. Now you're going to have two applications to write. The first application is you're going to prompt the user to enter the number of people. So you're going to use JavaFX for the dialog to prompt. And then pretty much the applications try to get the size of the group. Like if I have 10 people, right? If it's greater than 10, you're going to have divide by 2. We're going to have two groups, and in each group we're going to have, if it's like 12, 6 people each, right? Because 12 is greater than 10. But if it's between 3 and 10, if I put 10, it's going to be divided by 3, right? So it's going to be a group of 3, right? 3, 3, and 4, right? Okay. Now you can do if else for that, right? If else, and then if else again, right? Like else if, right? The multiple one, right? And then display the message number of people has to be at least 3, right? Otherwise, that means if it's not, if I put just 1, 2, then it's going to say at least 3, right? And that's it, right? Now, this part is going to make you use the nested if. Like after you check the first one, if it's between 11 and 55, that means after the first one that is greater than 10, right? If it's greater than 10, you want, is it true, then you do nested if again to check. How about if it's between 11 and 55? If it is, then we're going to tell you the team size. The first one is the group size, this one is team size, right? Team size like divide by 11, okay? Otherwise, that means that's else, just say team size equal to 1. All right? And display that. Now, once you get that done, you're done with that part. That is the real application after you sign in. Meaning that you have to, 3.2 is going to have to authenticate the user first before you can enter the number of users to use the application to calculate the group size and team size. Okay? You're going to integrate your code from the previous knowledge from the previous session 3.3, how to authenticate the user. Now, after the user enter the username, it's correct. You're not going to say welcome. You're going to prompt the user with enter instead of welcome, right? Enter the number of people. After the user enter the number of people, then you just display another one. This is your group size and team size by using this logic. Make sense? Now, this authentication application makes you use loop that we just talked about. You keep repeating until the user enter the correct username and password. And I just show you how, right? Now, if you use scanner, you probably have to use a loop. But if you use JavaFX, you technically don't need the loop. Why? because when you run application, it already have the dialog box that keep asking you to enter. Maybe, oh, but the dialog, if you use JavaFX dialog, maybe you have to use a loop, yeah. Because you have to prompt the dialog over again and over again, right? But if you use the like window application like that, which we didn't teach you yet, you don't need it. But I want you to use the dialog, then use the loop, okay? That's it. That's what you need to do. Now, but this application not making you to do until it is correct. It said that's a limit, only 3 times. Okay? That means you have to do the counter, how many times the user made it correct. Only 3 times. More than 3 times, say account is locked, contact admin. And you use VI to do this, submit on Git, GitHub, and then Java doc. All right? And that's pretty much it for today.